Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Wednesday. I hope you are enjoying the start of the week. Big game coming up, of course, this weekend, which we will start now turning our attentions towards. I think Mikel Arteta's press conference, still haven't actually had final confirmation of this yet, but I think the press conference is on Friday, so we'll hear from the manager ahead of that big game against Liverpool, who played last night. So we'll have a quick word about that as well later on in this video. But wanted to talk about the game I was at last night at the Emirates. What a dramatic night it was at the Emirates Stadium. If you saw it, you know exactly what I was talking about. If you didn't, Arsenal's under-18s team, Jack Wilshere's side, of course, won their FA Youth Cup semi-final against Manchester City with literally, well, not literally, because Man City did kick off again, but virtually the very last kick of extra time, winning it in truly dramatic fashion, as they've done really the whole way through this run to the semi-finals, or the final now, of course, because they beat Newcastle with a last-minute goal at the start of the run. They beat Cambridge as well with a last-minute goal in the quarterfinals, and then did it again last night. So they never know when to give up, these Arsenal youngsters. Fair play to Manchester City. They went down to 10 men within 10 minutes of the game starting, and they played the remainder of like the 110 minutes with 10 men, and they were so close to holding out for penalties. And then right at the end, Arsenal with a moment of real quality. Bradley Ibrahim, fantastic ball over the top, brilliant run from Lewis-Skelly, who was the best player on the pitch in my opinion, and he scored the winner with a really brave header at the end. It was a really good game. I mean, both teams were absolutely shattered in extra time. I mean, it was basically half an hour of players just collapsing to the floor with cramp. How Lewis-Skelly got the energy levels to make that run right at the end, I have no idea, because it just looked like everyone was going through the motions, just waiting for full time, waiting for penalties. But he managed to find the energy from somewhere to make that run, and a brilliant sort of ball over the top from Bradley Ibrahim, and Lewis-Skelly got his rewards, and Arsenal got their rewards as well. And the scenes at the end, it was almost Reece Nelson-esque. All the bench flying onto the pitch, everyone legging it across the pitch to join in with the celebrations. Man City players just collapsed on the floor. It was a really dramatic night. It was some good high quality football, especially in the 90 minutes as well, before everyone started to get really tired. Some really good football. Like I said, Man City were hampered massively by the fact they went down to 10 men. I think had it been 11 on 11, that would have been a really difficult night for Arsenal, because you could see why Manchester City went into that game favourites. They were really powerful, strong, physical side, and even with 10 men, they played some really good stuff, especially in the first half. You kind of for 11 on 11, Arsenal may well have struggled. It might have been a lot harder than they ended up being, but credit to Arsenal, they stuck to it. They had some good performances. Michael Rosiak scored the first goal with a really good free kick. That was from the free kick from which the Man City player got sent off, actually, for bringing down, I think it was Amari Benjamin early on. It was a really good free kick from Rosiak, who's had a great run in the competition so far. If you haven't really been following the Youth Cup, he's scored goals in the games against Newcastle, Watford, and last night. He's a right back, but he's kind of like the opposite version of Zinchenko in that system. Arsenal have almost got it switched around, because with Arsenal's system, with Mikel Arteta's system, you've got like the inverted left back, and the rest of the three are not kind of normal defenders. But with Wilshere in the under-18s, it's a little bit different. It's like you've got the normal, more sort of Kieran Tierney type left back in Lino Souza, who just bombs forward. But on the right, you've got the inverted fullback in Rosiak, who comes inside a lot. And Man City really struggled to deal with him. His movement was great. He was coming inside. Him and Kozia Dubry had this kind of Saka, Ben White-esque relationship going on down that right hand side, and it was really good to watch. Actually, I thought Rosiak really impressed me. He was one of Arsenal's better players, and then there's some real standouts. I thought Lewis-Skelly scored the winner. He was brilliant. Just looks like he's got, you know, when you see a player, especially a young player, and you think, yeah, you're just a little bit different, and that's kind of what you got the impression when you sit there and you watch Lewis-Skelly. His close control, his ability to get himself out of tight situations, the way he runs with the ball, just his presence on the pitch. He's got something special. You can see why there's so much excitement about him at Arsenal. And I thought, you know, if anyone was going to get the winner last night and deserved to get the headlines, it was probably him, because I thought he was very good. Heath Manieri obviously gets lots of headlines. He played last night. I didn't think he was exceptional. I mean, there was a couple of really good moments. Again, his sort of movement, his ability to, worked the ball in tight areas, earned himself a couple of really good shooting opportunities in the first half, which one went wide, one went blocked, but it was the way he worked that situation. You can tell he's got really good feet, see why he's so highly rated, but he was playing almost as the kind of false nine in that system. I'm not sure that's his best position, but that's where he was playing yesterday, and played well, but I don't think he was quite on the level of sort of Cozier, Dubry and Lewis-Skelly. I thought they really, really stood out. And Michael Rosiak as well, and Bradley Ibrahim as well, who set up the goal. I thought he was really good. And if you haven't been watching this run to the semi-finals yet, I really urge you to do so. The final's going to be at the Emirates. We don't know yet how big the crowd's going to be. Yesterday it was 10,000, it was sold out, but Arsenal capped it at 10,000 because anything over that and it turns into like a large event where basically you need stewards and police in and all that sort of stuff. When you keep it at 10,000, you don't need to do that. So that's what Arsenal did for the semi-final. But I think for the final, it's probably going to be different. It's going to be at the Emirates. It's going to be either against West Ham or Southampton. And we've got to wait to see when the date is going to be. It's supposed to be sometime before April the 29th. So we'll see how Arsenal can fit it in. But hopefully they're going to open it up to a lot more fans. Because I remember in 2009 when Arsenal last won it, it was home and away legs at that point and it was against Liverpool, and the home leg at the Emirates, Wilshere was playing, I think it was like 34,000. It'd be great to see something like that again. We asked Wilshere yesterday actually about that after the game. We were speaking to him, a few of us who were there, and he said, look, I watched the Youth Cup final last year, which was Man United versus Nottingham Forest. He said, and there were 60,000 there at Old Trafford. And I know that our fans are better than Man United fans. I hope we can get a big crowd. I don't see why not. I think we had 25,000 in 2009. It was actually 33,662 is what it was. It was nice. So listen, let's build on that. I watched the women's game here, and that energy and feeling that they create and what fans create is special. I want the players to experience that. Let's get the fans down and get their support. So once details of that Youth Cup final are announced, and if you can get to the game, then please do, because this young team absolutely deserve it. Arsenal are trying to win the competition for the first time in nearly 15 years. For Wilshere, it'd be, won it as a player and then win it as a manager. It'd be fantastic for him. And you could see how much the players want it as well. Just watch those celebrations at the end of full time, and what it meant to them. And I think it'd be so huge. We spoke to Michael Rosiak actually after the game. We spoke about what it would be like if 60,000 were there, and he was just saying it'd be amazing, it'd be crazy, and it would mean an awful lot to those players. So yeah, we'll wait and see. Jack speaking about it as well, about what it was like, and that when the last minute goal went in, he said, look, it hasn't really sunk in yet, honestly, and right now it feels fresh, but that feeling, I can't even explain what it felt like. That moment, it was relief, joy, love for the players, emotions, everything. Right now, it feels like one of the top moments of my career. Obviously, as a coach, I'm a young coach, but even as a player as well, it feels like it's right up there. It was interesting watching Wilshere yesterday, how intense he was on the touchline. I wasn't quite sure what he was going to be like. It was really, really intense. He was getting quite feisty between him and the Manchester City coach. He lives it, he feels it. He's kind of very Arteta-like almost in a way. He's like in the touchline, and you could see what it meant for him. You could actually see when he was answering our questions down there on the pitch after the game, the kind of emotion that was running through him. You could see that the adrenaline was still going through him at that point, and it meant an awful lot. And yeah, those celebrations were pretty special. Really good day, really good night at the Emirates last night. It's fantastic to watch. And if Arsenal do open up the crowd to have more than 10,000 for the final, and you can make it, then you absolutely should, because it should be a really, really good night at the Emirates in the final. Okay, Liverpool-Chelsea last night, that was on in the screens. We were sitting in the press box at the Emirates, obviously watching the under-18s games, but on the screens above us, they had Liverpool-Chelsea, and honestly, I kept looking up to it and just thinking, there is nothing happening in this game. It was really, really terrible from what I saw. I know Chelsea did miss a few chances, but not a good game, was it? Very, very mid-table game, which is what it was, because Liverpool and Chelsea, let's face it, are mid-table this season. Liverpool, awful away from home this year. Very good at home still, obviously the whole Anfield factor, but awful away from home. We'll see what sort of performance they produce on Sunday. I imagine it's going to be a hell of a lot better than what it was at Stamford Bridge, and a hell of a lot better than what they've done on the road this season. You look at what their record at Anfield, I think they've got the third best home record in the Premier League behind Arsenal, Manchester City this season. So as much as they're struggling away from home, we know what happens at Anfield. We've seen them. They've beaten Man City there this season. They've beaten Man United in style there 7-0 this season. So I think if any Arsenal fans were watching that game yesterday at Chelsea, or watched the game at the Etihad at the weekend and thought, hopefully Liverpool are going to play like this when we play them at Anfield on Sunday, I don't think that is going to be the case. It's going to be a very, very different Liverpool team, which Jurgen Klopp seemed to hint at in his press conference yesterday. He said he actually saw quite a bit that he liked from his team yesterday, and that he was now looking forward to playing Arsenal at the weekend. So, yeah, he was. Van Dijk didn't play yesterday. He was ill, so he hadn't been training ahead of the game. But in his press conference after the game, he said Klopp was asked about Van Dijk and if he'd be all right to play Arsenal, and he said, I think he'll be ready for the weekend. Yes, so doesn't seem like Liverpool are going to be without Virgil van Dijk, which is a bit of a shame, because although he hasn't been in his best of form this season, he's still by far and away their best centre-back. So they rested Mo Salah as well yesterday at Stamford Bridge. He'll definitely come back into the team at the weekend, so they'll have a rested Mo Salah for that game against Arsenal on Sunday. In terms of Arsenal, we're still waiting to find out exactly what's going on with William Saliba. I can't really at the moment give you any more of an update on that. If I do get one, then I'll put it out on my social media, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I think that, unless there's something going on that we don't know about behind the scenes in terms of injuries or illness or anything like that, I think the team pretty much is going to pick itself for Anfield if Saliba misses out. Rob Holding will start. I'd be stunned if he didn't. If Saliba doesn't play, it'll be Holding. And other than that, I think we all know who's going to play in this game. It'll be Ramsdale, Ben White, Holding, Gabriel, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka, Odegaard, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli. I'd be stunned if anyone else plays. Obviously, Leandro Trossard absolutely deserves a place in the starting spot because of his performances so far this season. But with everyone now fit in terms of those four attackers, I still think it will be him who misses out, because Jesus will start. He scored 2 goals at the weekend. I think Jesus, when he's fit, he's Arsenal's number 1 striker. He'll start. Bukayo Saka will definitely start, providing he's better and recovered from the illness he suffered last week, which you imagine he will be, because it was a week ago and he was well enough to come on off the bench against Leeds at the weekend, so I'm sure he'll be fine to start. And I just think Martinelli will start as well, despite the former Leandro Trossard and how impressive he's been since he's arrived. I just think Martinelli's Arsenal's top scorer, still Arsenal's top scorer this season. Played very well against Liverpool in the game at the Emirates, scored, in fact, in that game after a minute. So I cannot see Trossard starting ahead of him at Anfield. I think it will be, a large part of Arsenal's game plan will be to utilise Saka and Martinelli, as they always do, to stretch the game, stretch that Liverpool defence. We've seen the gaps that appears between the midfield and the defence for Liverpool this season, how you can exploit that. Manchester City did it perfectly last week at the Etihad, and I think Arsenal are going to play in a very similar way to try and do that at Anfield. It's going to be a different game. Liverpool are going to be a different animal. We know that. They're going to be a lot more intense. Their pressing is going to be better. You would imagine there's not going to be anywhere near as big a gaps between the lines as there was at the Etihad, but there's still going to be space to exploit. It's happened all season. Teams have been able to exploit it this season. Maybe not as much at Anfield as they have away, but even so, there is still space to exploit. And we've seen so far this year that Arsenal are very, very good at doing that when there is the opportunity to get at teams and to use the wide men. So I just can't see Trossard forcing his way into the team if everyone is fit for this game. But you might disagree with me. Let me know. Do you think he should start? If he does, who should Mikel Arteta leave out to accommodate Leandro Trossard? Let me know, as always, in the comments below. All right, that's it from me, everyone. Thank you very much for watching, as usual. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow and Friday as we really start to gear up towards that huge day coming up at the Emirates, at Anfield, on Sunday. Have a great day. I'll speak to you soon.